Hello, good evening. Welcome to another live episode of the O&G StrikeZone. I'm Bryan Fulford, back again, joining Kelvin Rozier and Marcus Green. Brothers, how you doing tonight? Good to be back on with you.
Doing good. Kelvin was holding it down last week, doing his best Bryan imitation.
Hey, great job driving the bus, running the show, man. Great job, Kelvin. I didn't get a chance to say that to you, but yeah, definitely.
You know, I do my part, man. I'm not a Bryan Fulford by any means, but I do what I can, my brothers.
No, you're 1,000 times better. You're 1,000 times better than me. Welcome to episode 21, season 4 of the show. Appreciate you guys.
Say that again.
Yeah, episode 21 of season 4.
Wow, man, that's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely, it is. It is impressive. It is impressive, man. We've come a long way, and so we appreciate everybody for joining us and being a part of the journey. We are the O&G StrikeZone right here on the Black College Sports Network, part of Jericho Broadcast Networks. We appreciate everybody for coming in and joining us on the My JBN Online YouTube page or via the Black College Sports Network on Facebook or X. And hello to all of our friends watching on the O&G StrikeZone Facebook page, Instagram page as well. Appreciate everybody for coming in and joining us. Let me make sure to put my phone on silent here, as I've got people hitting me up with live action and stuff. But anyway, coming up on tonight's show, we are going to be joined by none other than a Hall of Fame coaching legend, like #GOAT, multi Hall of Famer. I counted at least 2 institutions, but I think it's 3, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how many people can say they are a Hall of Famer at not 1, not 2, but 3 HBCUs, or just 3 collegiate institutions, like our guest tonight. Also, one of the winningest coaches, might be the winningest coach in the state of North Carolina, a Black College Football Hall of Famer, state of North Carolina Hall of Famer, and so none other than former Florida A&M athletic director, Coach Bill Hayes, will be joining the show coming up at the bottom of the hour. Coach Hayes was the athletic director from 07 to 09, I don't know, I guess it was 07 to 09, there.
He technically started, he was hired in the end of 07, but he technically started January 2nd of 2008.
Okay, that's what I was kind of looking at a couple of the articles regarding it, and yeah, that's kind of what I gleaned off of that. And of course, it was Coach Hayes who hired our current athletic director, AD Angela Suggs, back in the day, and brought AD Suggs on staff. And she did mention and gave respect and props to Coach Hayes during her introduction, or reintroduction, I should say, to FAMU. So it's a good tie-in. Great opportunity to bring on Coach Hayes. A lot of knowledge, a lot of great stuff, and we can kind of maybe go back in time and kind of learn some things now that maybe we didn't know back then, and see how have we gotten better? Have we regressed, or have we stayed the same? I guess we can kind of find all that that out.
All I will say is I love Coach Hayes, and he's going to tell it like it is. He tells the truth. And so I'm looking forward. I think this is going to be a very entertaining show.
And we would want nothing else. We want nothing else from Coach Hayes on this show. Before we get going with the roll call, I want to definitely say thanks to everybody who checked out the special edition that we did and broadcast on Monday. Myself and Kelvin got a chance to talk to one of the creators or one of the hosts of the Pause Up podcast. Of course, if you had your head in the sand and you missed the news, former football coach, former FAMU legend, Willie Simmons is now the head coach at Florida International University. So it gave us an opportunity to kind of talk with their show, which, hey, like our show that covers our university's athletics and football program, they do a similar job. And so it was good to hear from guys who are boots on the ground and give us some perspective on what coach is going to walk into. And maybe we can talk about that later in the show if it warrants or if we want to. All right. So before we get into today's show, let me make sure to roll call it up and say hello to everybody. It's kind of quiet in the chats this morning. Just a quick reminder: you see the Cash App sign there, $MyJBMIBCSN. You can always make a donation to the show. That way, or you can scan that QR code in the bottom left of the screen, or you can also, if you are a part of the JBN online, you can make a super chat or you could subscribe to the channel. So many ways in which you could show some support for the show. I always say a cup of coffee is a good couple of bucks spent, and it kind of helps us keep this train moving. So all of your support outside of the likes and the thumbs up and the views, all those are great, but sometimes it's good to see a little of the green, which kind of helps keep this investment going as we try to do some bigger and better things going into the new year. So, all right, with that said, enough of me, enough of the chitter chatter and the promotion plugs. Let me get right into shouting out our friends who have jumped into chats. Let's see. Jimmy Matt, first one up, first one in the building.
What's up,
Jimmy Matt? Thank you for being a JBN subscriber as well. Appreciate you. Bull
what's up, Bull?
He wants to know what's going on with the portal, Marcus. So I guess you're going to have to oblige him there and give us some updates. I think Marcus is ready for you, Bull. I think Marcus has got some stuff ready to kind of talk about the portal. Who isn't in the portal? Everybody's in the portal these days. I mean, Jesus. We'll find out who's staying and who's
you in the portal.
Wilson.
You in the portal.
Exactly. You in the portal. Good to see you, Melissa. Thanks for checking in. Will Davis.
Hey, Melissa.
As well. Good to see you, Will. Meredith joining in.
What's
hey,
up,
Meredith. Thank you for being a JBN subscriber. Good friend, Marcus. JY checking in. Thank you for being a JBN subscriber, Marcus. We appreciate you. Mary 305, always a pleasure.
Hey, Auntie.
Thank you for being a JBN subscriber. Gail checking in. Gail's back in Cleveland.
Gail, you might be the only person in the country that leave Florida to go to the cold. It usually is the opposite, snowbirds. But what's up, Gail?
Yeah, look, I'm not even gonna say anything. Hey, look, Gail. It says it's cold in Cleveland. Hell, it's cold in Florida right now. It's about to get cold. Yeah. It's about to get cold. So I don't, Hey, look, you ain't missing nothing, Gail. Don't worry, you ain't missing nothing. Maybe the sun. That's about it, because that's the difference between the Midwest and up here. The sun doesn't come out. It'll be cold, but the sun will be out down here. Up there, the sun will be like just foggy, hazy. Little baby checking in. Good to see you, little baby. Thanks for checking in. Ron Jab Williams, thank you for joining the show. Chuck Hunt from Monroe, Louisiana. Thank you. Yeah. Mr. Campbell checking in. Good to see you. Yeah.
Campbell?
Yeah, definitely. Campbell's been on, or Coach Hayes has been on the show, HBCU Coaches Corner. So always a good conversation. You guys make sure you check out HBCU Coaches Corner, where Steve, Rocky, and Coach joins the show, and always a good conversation. And they do a great job of just talking to coaches. They get the coaches lined up and probably doing it better than anybody else. So make sure you check out that show. Alice McCullough, thanks for checking in from the 561 in Palm Beach. We appreciate you. Edwin Moore, good to see you, Edwin. Good to see you, Demetri, checking in. What is this? EA coming in. Oh, man. Check the household. Someone went overboard, praising another coach higher and strangely forgot Willie's. Yeah. I wonder who he could be talking about. I don't know. She who shall not be named, I guess. I don't know. Let it snow, let it snow. One of my favorite Christmas jams. I mean, is there any better Christmas jam? I mean, I think I've heard Mariah like way too many times on every holiday playlist I'm playing now. I hear Mariah is all I want for Christmas, but give me more Let It Snow. Give me more of the Boys to Men. Let it snow. Let it snow. All right, gents. Let's get the show rolling here. And I thought, because of the last time that we were actually on the show, our Lady Rattlers, our championship winning Lady Rattlers, our volleyball program was preparing for their opening round match against Nebraska, traveling to Lincoln.
Talking about cold.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, oof.
It was cold. It was a cold trip.
Oh, it was a cold start as the Nebraska. It's hard when you see a team play a perfect set, but that's what Nebraska did. I think they played a perfect set practically. We didn't score any off of our serves. They rolled us 25-3 in the opening set. It got a little better in the second set, but not much. 25-9. Third set was actually our best set. We actually had a lead very early in that set. Kind of loosened up a little bit, I think. And anyway, we ended up losing the third set 25-17. So Nebraska's only lost twice all season. One of those times was in conference to Penn State. So it just so happened that FAMU, we ended up with Nebraska, who I think was the number 2 team in the country. Delaware State, who won the MEAC, ended up taking on Penn State, who was the number 1 team in the country. Penn State beat Nebraska. So there's that. So anyway, but the Rattlers finished the season 27-7, 16-0 in the SWAC. The win tally ties for the 4th most in school single season history. Coach Gokhan has now guided the Rattlers to 3 NCAA tournament appearances in 4 seasons. In the contest, Jada Rhodes recorded a team high 7 kills. Brooke Lynn Watts finished with a team high 6 digs and 6 kills. And FAMU attackers were helped by a team high 8 assists from Mackenzie Taylor. So the season comes to an end, gentlemen. And, just a quick thought, and you guys, I'll get out the way and let you guys talk about it. I really feel like it's time for the NCAA volleyball committee to really consider changing the format. And I don't just say this because, I do say this because as a small school that obviously you have to travel to this location, home of the top 16 seeds. I don't understand why volleyball doesn't do similar to what baseball and softball do, which is they have these 16 quads of 4. Let it be at a double elimination. So that way, when you travel, for example, when FAMU travels out to Nebraska, at least you get a minimum of 2 games. You know what I'm saying? I would instead, much like the basketball tournament, you go out Now, even though, well, except for women's are usually on sites, but you get one game. So it's a one and done kind of tournament. But I don't know if the payouts and the travel mirror each other, So I really, I don't know if that's anything that's ever been brought up or ever talked about. It just was a thought that came to me and a question that I had. So I'll get out the way. Kelvin, what are your thoughts on the season final game there against Nebraska?
First of all, to your point about double elimination, the tournament used to be double elimination.
Okay.
I think it was around maybe 8 to 10 years ago when they changed it. But when Coach Toner was making those runs, it used to be double elimination for a little while. But I'm sure it had to do with money and cost. Even though the team is there, they travel, but maybe the extra night and extra diem, that's my assumption. But yeah, it would be nice, or either if they go with a format where the top seed, the top 8, they get a bye, and you let the lower seeds battle it out first, something like that. Just to make it a little bit more competitive in that first round. But great season, man. Ladies did well. Very proud of them. It's just hard. It's tough to, Nebraska is one of the few schools that volleyball is a revenue generating sport.
Yeah.
They sell out every game.
Yeah.
They've been a top 5 team for the last 30, 40 years or whatever it is. So, I mean, it's just on a different level. And so I'm proud of the effort and everything from our young ladies. But that's going against some top notch, man. But also I noticed that the current AD was with a former AD, as you know, Courtney Gaucher, former AD.
That's right. I forgot he was up there in Nebraska.
He's at Nebraska, so they were both at the game together. So that
I
was
missed
cool.
that photo. You saw that photo? I know someone. Okay, I didn't see that photo get tweeted out. Okay.
So that was cool to see. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to. Even though we have a lot of seniors, we do have a young nucleus returning who've played and started. So I'm just interested to see as Coach Gokon continues to build. I know he has an AD that supports him. He's got, the additional staff. I know there's a certain person that we all know that is working on an NIL for at least one player in volleyball. So we're taking a lot of small steps to finally be able to, to get our program up to a level where we're not just SWAC good and HBCU good and lower level group of 5 good, but perhaps we can start to challenge a little bit more a higher level if we keep investing. So I'm looking forward to the future.
Marcus, what do you want to add there?
Yeah, it was a great effort by the ladies, a great season, and I wouldn't allow that to, how things turned out versus Nebraska to dampen anything. And I did get a chance to watch the post game. I hadn't seen it before until I got on YouTube today, and it popped up. And just in regards to the match, I mean, you clearly see, there's a difference. Nebraska has that pedigree, as you mentioned, along with a few other schools in terms of volleyball. And the first couple of sets, it just seemed like, those balls were really whistling. Having watched some volleyball and watched the tournament, it seemed like there was a little extra mustard on some of those kills.
Yeah.
But the ladies acquitted themselves well. Competed. No need to hang their heads. And to Kelvin's point, it'll be interesting to see, with the number of seniors that we had, or at least the number of people that walked on senior day, what the team is going to look like. And Coach Gokon, I don't know, after he came on the first couple of years, he's been keeping his roster close to the vest. I haven't been able to see too much. But a great season, represented the university very well, and very proud of them.
Champions. Bring me, please.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Got the rings back. So we'll I mean, I think they had like eight seniors, 8 or 9 seniors on this team, and it's like you had ladies, like Isis Williams and Brooklyn Watts, both who came on the show a couple of weeks ago after winning the SWAC championship. They've been part of the legacy of the last, especially Isis. I mean, Isis is the three-time champion. She's been there for a big part of it. I was very pleased to see her kind of have the game that she had in the SWAC championship, and I think Coach has shown his ability to recruit and develop talent. So, it's one of those things where you trust, and there's a trust now. I think we know what we have from Coach Gokhan, and I really hope my biggest thing is I hope we can find more ways to continue to support. You mentioned the NIL opportunities from a friend of the show, but there's several energetic young ladies who I think would be great NIL spokesmen for businesses around the Tallahassee area, the 850, just FAMU alumni. I mean, we got a lot of alumni that watch. I mean, if you have a business, how do you look at the smile and the energy and how engaging some of these young ladies are? How are you talk about wanting to support athletics. Well, part of that support comes through NIL, and I can't think of a better group than our volleyball program. So I would encourage any Rattler, partner up, see if you can, contact Fang Exchange, contact the Ashley and the good folks there, or I guess the local Rattler thing is still accessible on the FAMU athletics page. But there's ways to connect and create NIL opportunities for our athletic programs. And I think our volleyball team, these ladies deserve it. And I think that's the next step. That's where we have to go. We have to go, and we have to be able to provide more. And then we got to find ways to get more people out to these games. So no losses in Lawson this year by the volleyball program, and it's starting to bleed over into our other sports, our other sports that play in our Lawson. So definitely we got to make sure we support. See a few other folks that are checking in. Good to see folks checking in the chats. I see JT in the house checking in. You other folks, again, coming up here in just a few minutes, we'll have our conversation with the Hall of Fame legend, Coach Bill Hayes, coming up here in just a moment. I will save the conversation because I know we just mentioned no losses in Lawson. We'll talk about the basketball program and the success they're having over the past week. We'll get into that, and I know for sure Marcus will get us going with some football talk and kind of find out who's doing what. Any other brief nuggets that you want to touch on, Kelvin or Marcus, before we hit that first break?
Nothing I could think of.
Nothing short, sweet. Okay. Not a problem at all. All right, let's do that then. Let's take our first break and then come back on the other side with the Hall of Fame legend and former FAMU athletic director, Coach Bill Hayes, right here on the other side. Get your questions ready. You guys got some questions? You want to go down memory lane? You want to see Coach Hayes will spill some tea on get the questions in the chat. We'll see if Coach will answer them. Coming up right on the other side, you're watching the O&G StrikeZone right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
HBCU football fans, this year's Cricket Celebration Bowl has a new date. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 14th as the MEAC and SWAC champions meet once again. Join us in Atlanta for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit the Celebration Bowl.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Levert Experience and the Bar Cave. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends, honoring talents such as Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, and Luther Vandross. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
ESPN Events Band of the Year, a title reserved for the absolute best in the world of HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 13th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be adjudicated by expert judges in the world of college bands. 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for ranking updates throughout the season. And join us at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Hey, where's Marcus at? Oh, there he is. Oh, hey, all right. I was gonna say, come on now. That's all right. Taking that little extra break. All right. Coming up on the show, let me introduce. Let me make sure I say it right and get it right, because the when we get legends like this, I don't like messing up the credentials of legends. He is a Black college football Hall of Famer. He is a 2-time Black college football national champion, 3-time CIAA champion, 3-time MEAC champion, 2-time Coach of the Year. I don't know if this feels like a record. A athletic Hall of Famer at 3 institutions: North Carolina Central, Winston-Salem State, and North Carolina A&T. A member of, I think, not only the CIAA Hall of Fame, but the MEAC Hall of Fame, and the winningest coach in the state of North Carolina collegiate football. And he's also been the athletic director of Florida Agricultural Mechanical University. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. None other than the legend, Coach Bill Hayes. Coach Hayes, welcome to the O&G StrikeZone. I hope I didn't leave anything out, sir.
You did great. I'm real satisfied with the way you did it. It's good to be talking to some rattlers this evening. I'm really happy.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you. Well, thank you for coming in and joining us. Coach, I just saw a news report that there in Winston-Salem State, you had, or at outside of Bowman Field, or maybe looking over Bowman Field, that they just put up a statue of you that will now sit high atop a hill looking over that field where you won games and championships. And I think you might still be, you probably are still the all-time winningest coach at Winston-Salem State football. But what did it feel like to see that? And I saw the interview. You said you had former players, your guys from Winston-Salem State, as well as North Carolina A&T there. What was that moment like for you?
Unbelievable. Let me explain what happened. About 3 or 4 years ago, my players from North Carolina A&T, Winston-Salem State, and Wake Forest University, and a sprinkling from North Carolina Central got together and decided that they wanted to do a statue in my honor. The field in Winston-Salem, Bowman Gray Stadium, is already named after me. The issue was what the players wanted to do was do this statue, but they really wanted to do the Earl Monroe, the legendary Big House Gaines. They want to do all the former greats. Issues came up about where, how, who's going to fund it, and this type thing. So the city of Winston-Salem stepped in. Bowman Gray Stadium is the property of the city of Winston-Salem. My statue is not on Winston-Salem state property, nor is it on A&T's property. My statue is on the city of Winston-Salem's property, and the field was already named in my honor. So my players raised about $400,000 to do the infrastructure and have a 12-foot statue of me installed. And it took a lot of negotiations over 2 years with the city and the university and the like, the insurance, the liability. I mean, it was amazing what those players went through to get this done. But they, like Rattlers do, they made up their minds that they were going to do this for their old coach, and they got it done. The ringleader of it was former Pittsburgh Steelers great defensive lineman and number 1 draft choice by the LA Rams, a young guy named Donald Evans, amazing young man who owns his own. The crazy thing about what I've seen in my career is I've got a lot of guys that own their own businesses, millionaires. It's amazing. I mean, guys that were just average kids coming out of high school, and keep that pressure on them and teach them how to win and teach them how to fight. And now they're walking around millionaires, a lot of them. And I'm really proud of that. So they got it together. They paid the money. They did the work. They worked with the city of Winston-Salem and established this, installed a statue. Bowman Gray Stadium hosts NASCAR track probably 9 months a year. And then 3 months a year, only just during the football season, does Winston-Salem State reside in that stadium. So I wanted to make sure that it was in a great place. So we put it up on a hill, put the statue up on a hill where, it's hard to get to. And I didn't want to, I was concerned about all those NASCAR folks. You all feel what I'm
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I got it on the side over here. You got to have on some spikes in your shoes to get up to it. So that was all of my doing. But I'm extremely proud that those guys would think enough of what I tried to do and the time I put in, long 16, 17 hours a day, 7 days a week for 40, 50 years. And so it's a testament to that hard work.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Kelvin.
Coach, I'm still trying to figure out how we got a North Carolina guy like you to Tallahassee and Florida A&M. So I want you to talk about how you got to FAMU.
Well, FAMU, I was always amazed at FAMU. I remember back in 1977 when we won the national championship when I was the coach at Winston-Salem State. I admired Jake. See, Jake, I was one of his guys. I was one of the young guys that sit at the table just watching him and all the greatness about him, the way he acted, the way he moved, the way he coached, the way he talked, the way he communicated. I mean, I love Jake Gaither. And Eddie Robinson would be there too. So I'm sitting there as a young coach, in my 30s, and I'm around all this greatness. So I'm watching FAMU and admiring FAMU for a long time. I was the athletics director at North Carolina Central. Look, I'm working 4 blocks from my home, from my house where I was born at North Carolina Central. And Dr. James, well, first of all, Dr. James Ammons hired me to be the AD. I never forget, I went to a football scrimmage at North Carolina Central for spring ball. And Dr. Ammons walks up to me. I had never met the man in my life. And he says, "Aren't you Coach Hayes?" I said, "Yes, sir. Yes, I am." He said, "Well, why didn't you apply for the AD job at North Carolina Central?" I said, "Dr. Ammons, I'm a pure football coach. You know, I don't know whether," he said, "but you raised money for your program. You literally did all the fundraising for the athletic program and your football program for years." And he said, "So you're a natural at fundraising, and you're a natural at motivating coaches and kids. So come by my house and let's talk about you being my AD." And I did, and we hit it off. And what a great man, what an outstanding guy. And I joined his team at North Carolina Central, and we did some great things. I was there at Central from 2000. I think I was there from 2003 to 2007, and we won 14 championships. Yeah, we were rolling in all sports, and so March of I think it probably was 2007. Dr. Ammons called me in, and he said, "Bill, I'm gonna go back home to Florida A&M as chancellor, and I want you to consider going with me." I'm saying, wait a minute now. Oh, I'm 4 blocks from where I was born. I'm in my own backyard. And you want me to do what? He said, "I want you to go to Florida A&M with me." This was in March. So we go March, April, May, June, July, August. No. So late in the year, around, he gave me one more call. He called me in November of that year, and he said, "I've been waiting on you since March, and you either going with me or not. You tell me right now if you're going to come to FAMU." I said, "Hey, Doc, I'm going." And I did it. I did it out of respect for Dr. James Ammons, because I think he's a great guy, a super leader that had my total respect. And I did it because I wanted the challenge of walking in at a place that Jake Gaither walked in. I knew all about that, and Hansel Toots. I'm an old, in trade, I'm an old offensive line coach. That's who I really am. An old, offensive line guy. That's what I did when I was the first black coach in the Atlantic Coast Conference at Wake Forest. I coached the O-line. That's what I do. That was it. And so I just could, I wanted to make sure that we got it all right. And when I decided to go to FAMU, I wanted to be a part of that. And that's why, and Toots was an O-line guy. Hansel Toots was an O-line guy. So so I want to walk in Toots' shoes, and Mrs. Toots, his wife, Hansel passed not long after I got down there. And Mrs. Toots would come out. In fact, she started working in the athletic department with Gene, the basketball coach. I sent her up there because she was a little lonely because Hansel was gone now, and she was having it tough getting over him not being there. So she started working with us, and it worked out great. In fact, Eugene, she was only one that could manage Eugene, my basketball guy. I can tell that on him now, but it's real. Kevin, Roger, I never forget the first meeting I had at FAMU. I came down. We had about 80 people in the room, and I rolled out my plan for the whole staff about how we were going to put 1,000 strikes together and raise money, and how we were going to win championships, and we were going to do this. And after the meeting, a lady came up to me, and she said, that was a great presentation you made, Mr. Hayes. She said, "Yeah, but one problem." And I said, "What?" She said, "You ain't gonna be here long."
Oh Lord.
she and then one of the guys said, don't come to work every day. See, I didn't understand that. That wasn't who I was and what I was all about. When I'm in, I'm all in.
Yep.
And I'm gonna get there early and I'm gonna stay there late. That's what I was used to. And it was conflicting in my mind. And a lot of things I just didn't understand because I wasn't used to. Not saying it was wrong, I just wasn't used to.
Right.
To me, it's always been about winning. It's always been about the program. I was never worried about trying to get nothing for myself. I wasn't worried about a side hustle, but I started running into side hustle folk, and I still don't understand that. And it was conflicting to me, but a great place. I mean, unbelievable support from, I just saw so much that could have been done to make it better. I remember standing on the hill behind the stadium early in my career there and watching those cars pull up on the hill and tailgate off the hill without having a ticket. They could look in the game and tailgate, and I'm saying, wait a minute, how you do this? How you come to the game and you're a big shot and you're gonna tailgate, but you ain't bought no ticket? I don't understand that. So then I want to, the way I think now, we got to figure out a way to capture these people. We got to figure out a way to make these folks pay up. And if you're going to be able to ride a SUV, and you're going to bring this contraption in the stadium, and you're going to tailgate, you got to spend some money. And so,
That's right.
Rosua, they gave me hell because I wanted to put a fence around the place early on. That was my thing. I wanted,
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was. I could see the potential of the money we were losing by not being able to harness all of that. And I never forget going to the city and talking to this lady. I can't remember her name, who was on the city council about how we go about. And the lady I never forget that lady told me, Rosa, she said, we want to put this fence around it. We want to capture all this. And then everybody's got to pay. And we're going to get this vending going. And she said, well, Coach, she said, just promise me one thing. She said, you're not going to do anything to stop me from being able to go and get my fish over there on that side street, are you? Oh, boy, what a beautiful place there, and some super people, and I enjoyed my time there.
Coach, if you don't mind, talk about how our current AD Angela Suggs, you kind of brought her on while you was there. Talk about your relationship, how you met her, and then what she brought to the table while you were there.
She is still a superstar. Mm-hmm. She understood where I was and I didn't. She was homegrown, and she helped me out a whole lot because she would say, "Now, oh, wait a minute, now, you need to do this here." I'm saying, "What are you talking about?" But she tried her best to guide and direct me, and that, trying to keep me on the right track. That ain't easy. I have to admit it. I'm hard-headed and stubborn, and most coaches that have success, we learn how to have one-track minds and be hard-headed and stubborn and bull-headed, and we're going to do it our way or the highway. You know what I mean? But she worked her little tail off trying to get me to do the right thing, and she kept me straight. She covered my back as best she could. And she was a wonderful person, and I was just so proud. I've been talking to her lately, and I'm just so proud that she back home. And I don't think you Rattlers could have picked a better person to guide and direct that program. Because you know what? She understands.
Yes.
She got the experience, but then she understands the culture. See, I didn't understand the culture because I never some of the things I never seen nothing like that before. I never had those kind of issues before, Right. And so I'm trying to figure out why in the hell are you doing it like that? Were we supposed to do it?
Yeah.
And so I had conflict, and I was probably the problem because I didn't want to change.
Mm.
You know, I want to do it my way, the highway, like always. And Angela she did everything she could to help me succeed and help me get this thing. We did a good job though. You know, we raised
Absolutely.
money. We raised money, you know, and I had that 1,000 strikes thing going on.
Yes.
And people was buying in, and you know, it was just hard. I guess I had gotten, you know, hell, I was 65 years old, so I was, you know, I was old for starting out somewhere. But Dr. Ammons believed in me, and he believed that I could do it, and I surely believed in me. It was just hard to be that far away from your family and all your loved ones, and all the stuff that I had worked for 40 years, it's gone. And I didn't see my players anymore, you know, and it was a lonely ride, Rozier.
Yeah.
Lonely ride.
Yeah.
Mix
Well,
up.
I hope some of those meals we ate at lunchtime at the president's dining room made it a little less lonely.
You guys did a great job of trying to help me out. You know, I would never forget you all, and I, you know, I really feel a part of it from a distance. In fact, one of my nieces down there in school now. She should be a junior now, rising junior now. So you know, we still got some tentacles into that thing, and believe it or not, I stay in touch with James Ammons a lot, and a lot of the people down there that were there with me. Great place, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Marcus.
Good evening, Coach. Thanks for coming on the show. I have two questions for you. The first one, in your career, you've moved to different schools that tend to have either real intense rivalries or some that are born out of competition. Did you have any reservations or any challenges in going from one school to the next as it relates to any tension or anything as it relates to, or you coming from Winston and then you going to A&T or going to Central, or even coming down to FAMU after some of the noted battles that you and Coach Billy Joe had?
Oh, did we have some battles?
Hey, Coach,
Yeah.
when you answer this question, please tell them about when Billy Joe threw that bomb on you at A&T and what you did. They got to hear this story.
Billy Joe was unbelievable, you know, and you know, it was all about. I wanted to be a head coach, and I never forget when I went to Winston-Salem. They were 0-10, and 1-10, but the year before that, they hadn't won but one game in 2 years, and you know, no facilities were terrible, equipment was terrible. The budget was terrible, but you know, I was in the Atlantic Coast Conference. I was the only black coach in the Atlantic Coast Conference, the first and only. But you know what? I wanted to be a head coach, and I was doing great at Wake Forest. You know, they gave me a house, they gave me a car. You know, I was doing great. But the AD told me he wanted me to stay at Wake Forest. But he said, made one mistake. He said, no matter who we bring in as a head coach, you always going to have a job. I'm saying, don't this fool know I want to be the head coach? You know, he talking about like bringing in these head coaches and me being satisfied, helping some. I want to be the head coach. And I could not, for the life of me, figure out how long it was going to be before integration in the Atlantic Coast Conference. I couldn't. I'm saying, have I got to wait 5 years to be a head coach in the ACC? Have I got to wait 10 years? Or is it going to be 12? When is it going to be? And it ended up being in the 90s with Jim Caldwell at Wake Forest. So I would have had to wait 18, 20 years at that place. So I said, you know what? They don't have nothing. They ain't never beat nobody. But you know what? I got a chance to be a head football coach. And if I can put all of everything I got into it, I got a chance to win. I never forget my first year at Winston-Salem State. We won 4 games. And hell, they thought we had won the damn Super Bowl. You know, they were so happy we won. But you know what? After we won that 4 games, we came back and won 11 the next year. went undefeated, and then went undefeated next year, and then won 10 the next year. I mean, we was rolling. But I had to build it all from scratch, from the ground up, from the locker rooms to the weight room to the recruiting program. I mean, everything. Training coaches, because you didn't have a full staff, so I had to train them. Had some volunteers. I keep them at 11, 12 o'clock at night, training them for the next day's practice. So, and then I thought A&T was it. All my life in North Carolina, A&T was a mecca. A&T was a dream of mine. In fact, being recruited as A&T was one of the few that didn't recruit me coming out of high school. So now I got a chance to go to A&T. And I said, this is going to be it. Man, listen, they were in worse shape than at A&T than when I was at Winston. They had less equipment, less money. I walked from a frying pan into the fire. So now I got to build a program all over again. I got to build a recruitment program. You know, we didn't have a locker room for 10 years when I was at A&T.
Wow.
I was in a damn tent for
That's
10
right.
years. We won championships, and I'm coaching out of a tent for 10 years.
Yep.
So I was used to, a good fight, I was used to struggle and overcoming. So, in answer to the gentleman's question, it was kind of like my upbringing, from being a little kid with polio, on the bottom, looking out the window, kids playing, wanting God to let me get out and play, give me a chance, and I'm gonna do something special. And so it was rough. And then playing against, we beat my alma mater. I beat them 12 years in a row, Rozier. I beat Central 12 years in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was all fun, and I look back on it with a lot of joy in my heart. But we worked awfully hard. I don't think any coaches anywhere ever worked as hard as we did. In the office at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning and getting home at 12 o'clock on Sunday night, and working 7 days a week, and then during recruiting season, leaving home on Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, and getting back on Friday with recruits. I mean, it was a long road. So gave it all I had.
A battle with Coach Billy Joe. Just kind of talk about that, Coach.
Oh man, Billy Joe could coach though. He could coach. I mean, he was different, and he knew how to throw the football, and he knew how to throw it, and I knew how to run it. And so I never forget. He came up to Greensboro A&T, and I think the game was 52-48. He would get it and go down the field throwing the ball, and when we get it, we walk that thing out and use up the rest of the quarter running that thing. And I got so much respect for Billy Joe and the guys that were there with him. And Ken Riley, Lord, I mean, you talking about one of the highlights in my life is Coach Ken Riley. I love that man. I loved him. He was beautiful, and he helped me out when I was at Florida A&M.
I think I went to one of those. You were talking about those A&T games. I think we took a road trip one time from Tallahassee. Those are some great contests, man. Those are some great contests indeed. You mentioned, Coach, that path you took to be a head coach, and it kind of this thought came to me about HBCU coaches, or maybe even just Black coaches, and the journey they have to take to be a head coach. We've seen recently over the last couple of years, and I'm not including Coach Prime because I think Coach Sanders has his own celebrity and gravitas, but he came from Jackson State and then went up to Colorado. But more recently, Jerry Mack, who right there was a North Carolina Central former coach, had great success there at Central, went to the Celebration Bowl, won a MEAC. And then more recently, just all within the same week or two, Willie Simmons, who led FAMU to a national championship. But both had to go from their head coaching role to be assistant coaches at Power 4 or Power 5 programs before they got the opportunity. I'm curious the state of college coaching and the path that men like Simmons and Mack have to take, and maybe others, because there are some good coaches in HBCU football. Is that journey? Is that just will we eventually move? How do we move? How does it move past that stepping stone from head coach to assistant coordinator to a head coach, instead of just being a head coach to move into another head coach that we see other non-black, we could say white coaches take?
Well, I came along during a different period than what's happening now, and I can't imagine what it would be like to try to coach with this NIL thing hanging over your head. Our thing was one: effort, loyalty, dedication to task, pulling together as a team, depending on one another. Now it's all about money. Thank God I'm not in it now, because in my mind, I'm going to develop a player. I'm going to bring him in. I'm going to see a body type that I think I can develop. And it may take me 2 years to get him to where we want to let him, turn him loose on the field and let him go. I want to make sure he got straight feet. I want him to be the right height. I want to have big hands and big feet. I want to, all those little intangibles I'm looking at when I'm recruiting him. And he may not be there right then, but I got him projected to be ready to go in 2 years or in his second year. Now, it ain't like that. If you bring a kid in, and I'm sure these coaches now, that don't have NIL money, and they bring these kids in, they project them to be something by their junior year. They bring them in and redshirt them in their freshman year, and then they might not have them in their sophomore year. That kid might be gone. Somebody might offer him some money. Loyalty is gone. Dedication is gone. Teammanship is gone. It's all about who got the most money, and I don't quite understand that. So
yeah,
something just happened when North Carolina just hired the Bills coach.
Did they really actually hire Belichick?
Yeah.
Everything's going to change now.
Oh my goodness!
Because Division I college football going to be like pro football.
That's what we keep hearing.
Yeah, and hiring Belichick sends the message, because he got all the experience about how to run that kind of organization. So I don't know where we're going with this thing, and thank God I don't have to put up with that anymore, because it would be hard for me, and I can remember how many kids we developed. I had over 150 guys sign a pro contract. I stopped counting at 150.
Wow.
Yeah. And a lot of those guys, they were projects when I brought them in.
Mm-hmm.
I recruited their body type. I recruited their speed. I recruited their footwork and made a football play out of them. Mm-hmm. You can't do that now, because he's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Do you see black college? Do you see black college football having to, or maybe even black college football coaches, administrators having to change the thought process and maybe think about things differently and how we do things differently? I mean, there's still a lot of student athletes out in the country that play football, but how do we? What would you, if you were giving advice, if they brought you in and said, Coach Hayes, what would you, what recommendation, what 2 or 3 recommendations would you give to the state of current black college HBCU football if we want to maintain or stay relevant in this sporting diaspora? What would you recommend? What would you say?
Well, you got to have a lot. You got to be able to recruit enough. You got to have enough money to bring in 2 teams. If they say, you can bring in 30 guys a year, I never brought in 30 guys. I bring in 60. You got to, because the attrition rate is so great. Do you realize if you bring in 30 freshmen in 2.5 years, you're not going to have about 14?
Yeah.
Just on normal attrition. If you bring in 30 freshmen, you count how many freshmen you see the very next year. And you count how many freshmen you see 2 years later. So you got to keep filling in. So, see, I got to bring in a class of signees. Then I got to bring in another class. I got to bring in double that in walk-ons, projections, guys that's got a certain body type, guys that's feet are set a certain way, guys that got big hands. And I've got to I got to go around to all the high schools, and those 215-pound offensive linemen that not going to get recruited, I got to bring them in and make middle linebackers out of them. I got to bring in those high school wide receivers at 6'2", running 4.7, and I got to make strong safeties out of them. And I got to make free safeties out. See, so I got to have one plan, but then I got to have two plans. The second plan is the projections, the development programs, where we bring in that raw talent and develop it over 2 or 3 years. That works. It used to anyway. We never brought in 30 kids. We're going to get beat to death if we don't have a 30, because you're going to lose so many of them on attrition. We're going to bring in twice the number that we're supposed to bring in. We're going to bring in a ton of walk-ons, a ton of them. And we're going to use all the available aid. I remember one time I had about 20 guys in the ROTC program. Look, and you know what, right now, they lieutenant colonels, full-blood colonels, still support me to this day. And I brought them on a ROTC scholarship. See, stop for a minute and go back and look at the roster, any roster in America, and especially at HBCU. And look at when Coach bring this class in this year at FAMU. You track the class. If he brings in 30 guys, see how many of them he have next year. Bet you he won't have but 18. And by the junior, he's going to have a 12. Yeah. Didn't know that, did you? So if you don't bring in but 30 guys, you're going to get beat to death. Yeah. That makes sense?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Perfect sense. Coach, so, go ahead. Finish your thought, Coach.
So you got to stay ahead of the game. You got to keep bringing them in by all kinds of ways. You don't have enough scholarship money to bring in 60 kids a year. So then you got to use financial aid. You got to use ROTC scholarship. You got to use any kind of way you can get them in. You got to. And then once you bring them in and you can show them some love and coach them up, then some money somebody gonna drop out and leave their scholarship over there. So I'm gonna take a little bit of that and give it to them, spice it up a little bit, make them feel better about being there. That's what you got to do.
Great point.
Okay. Hey, Coach, I want to ask you one last question about how you chose head coaches. You had, I believe, a Broadway at Central. You had Joe Teller at FAM. You hired Cornell Maynard at Winston-Salem. I know you was considering Coach Simmons at that time also, but you have a significant coaching tree that has both retired and is currently coaching. So talk about how you approach selecting a head coach for a HBCU program.
Wow. It's a feel. I think the AD got to have a feel for how to hire coaches. I think that really and truly, forget pushing paper, because I'm not good at that. But I know talent. I know energy, drive, determination, leadership. That's what a head coach got to have. And, when I came down to FAMU, we had to hire a football coach. And I'll never forget, they called me, the street committee and the powers that be called me in, and they said, we want you to go over down there and get that guy down there Georgia Tech. Was it Georgia Tech? It was in Georgia. It was University of Georgia. There was a rattler at the University of Georgia that they wanted. And I'm saying, what? Wait a minute. I mean, this guy. He first of all, he costs too much. We ain't got this kind of money to pay this guy all this money, and plus, he hadn't proved himself. He was assistant coach at Georgia. I believe it was Georgia. Might have been Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
It was Georgia.
It was Georgia.
That's who they wanted me to go after. And I'm saying, wait a minute. I mean, he ain't been no head coach. How we going to pay him all this money that he asking for, and he ain't proved nothing? He ain't never been no head coach. But I knew Joe Taylor was the real deal.
Oh, yeah.
So they listened. For once, somebody listened to me. I said, look, why don't y'all let me go and see, can I get Joe Taylor? See, because Joe Taylor was on his way to Western Carolina as head coach. That's where he was going, from Hampton to Western Carolina. So I got in touch with Joe and talked him into coming down to FAMU, and the rest is history.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same thing with Broadway. It's the same thing with Mena that I brought it. We went to the national championship. We played. Mm-hmm. You were there. We played.
Yes.
Who was that? We played somebody for the national.
That off the state.
When coach would come into me with a request, I would already know what he wanted. I'd already have it. I could see it. I said, look, don't worry about it. You just do this right here. I got this. You ain't gonna have to worry about it. But all I want you to do is give me your best shot. You coach those kids hard, and you ain't got to worry about all the little stuff. I got as AD. I got it. I'm gonna make sure you got everything you need to win with. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna create the right environment for you to win. See, that's what ADs need. Instead of bossing somebody all the time, they need to be trying to create an environment where the coach can win.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Facts.
And I'm gonna say this too, and I hope they don't like it. I'm seeing these ADs. I don't want my AD down on the side. What the hell he doing on the sideline? He ain't got no business. He need to be able to. He need to be able to talking to the alumni and talking to those big money folk trying to get some money during the game. He don't need to be down there signifying what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Tell him, coach.
That's right.
Yeah. His job is to raise money. His job ain't to be out on the field supervising me during the game, because it's over. He's already in the barn then. And I see too many of them in game day down on the sidelines signifying with suits and ties on. I would never do that as AD. I'm gonna be up there around the press box area. I'm gonna be up there where I think the big money donors are. I'm gonna try to figure out how we can get some of their money, try to get them to commit to some things. That's what my job is. My job ain't to be down on the sideline trying to tell the coach what to do. It's too late. And I done got old and cantankerous too.
Hey, down there on the sideline getting them photo ops, coach. That's what they're doing these days, getting them photo ops. Yeah. Different generation, I guess.
I love the honesty, coach. And this is what HBCUs need to hear. Part of my excitement in inviting you and trying to get you to come on the show was I think what you have to say has so much value. Mm-hmm. And even today it's relevant, and hopefully it resonates with those administrators and those influencers you talk about in the street committee and so forth.
We got to get some money. You got to figure out. It's all. Come on. It's enough money. People somewhere at FAMU to have a little NIL deal.
Yeah.
Somebody got to start. So you know what? Somebody got to get in their car and go and sit out in their living room and ask them for the money. And when they get that one, then they got to go to the next one. And it don't have to be it don't have to be no huge sum of money, but you got to start somewhere. So if suppose you had 50 people that gave you $5,000. Mm-hmm. Come on, man. All those graduates you got at FAMU, you can't find 50 people with $5,000.
Preach.
Yeah.
Come on, they got it. Yeah. And so now, now the kid getting something. Right now they not getting nothing. Yeah. So he's an easy mark for somebody to come in and take him from me. But if he getting a little something to help mom and them out, I remember back in the old days, we should give laundry money. You too young to remember that, Rosie, but we gave $25 laundry money a month. Man, them kids will be lined up to get that 25. They try to be the first one. They get up early, eat breakfast, and get in line to get that $25 laundry money.
Yeah.
Think about what it would be like if you had a little piece of money to get that boy. So during break, he got a way to get home. He can take his girlfriend out on a date. I mean, it's amazing what some of these kids don't have. And so, but you ain't gonna get it sitting in the office.
Well said.
Huh?
I said, well said. No, you're right. You're right. That's and I think we've got to have our I think with the college landscape, where now athletic departments can actually be more involved with NIL, it's going to be even more important for athletic directors to get involved.
You know
with NIL.
Let me tell you what we did here. We would go to Raleigh, 80 miles away, and have an alumni meeting at somebody's house in somebody's backyard and raise money. And the person whose house we had at would pay for it. They were glad to do that. That was their contribution. And then we go down the eastern part of the state. We go all over the state and have little get together with 15, 20 people at somebody's house, and they would furnish up. They just wanted us to be there. And we raised money. And we grew our programs. That ain't nothing wrong with that. That's alive and well.
Yes, sir. Old school fundraising still has a place in 2024, 25. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, people with money, they give to people. People,
that's right.
Relationships. Right.
That's exactly right. So that's why the guy ain't got no business on the sideline, because he need to be up there sitting beside that guy with some money. Or how does it make one feel when the AD comes to his house and have a conversation with him? That's a special feeling that a man will pay for. And we did that, Roger, way back then. We did it. We get in the car and visit 3 or 4 people a week. It don't take but an hour. You don't want to be in there. If you stay long an hour, you're gonna start lying. So you just go in there and
Absolutely.
Stay for a good time, not a long time, right?
Hey, Coach. I don't. We don't want to keep you too long. I know you like to get bed a little earlier than later. So guys, unless y'all got something, we got some questions that from the audience.
I had one person from the audience had kind of asked, Coach, I don't know, they asked, did you play with Jesse Jackson Sr.?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I played against Jesse.
Okay, you played against Jesse.
Yeah, but Jesse was he was a good person, but he was an average football player.
Okay.
He was average. Good guy, but average. Play quarterback.
Who do you are you going to be? Who do you have in the Celebration Bowl coming up? You got South Carolina State versus Jackson State. Are you going to be watching?
No.
I
watch it, but I don't know much about them anymore.
Okay. All right. What's it going to take for A&T to get back to where they used to be?
See, people don't ask no questions no more. I used to worry Jake to death. I used to worry Eddie Robinson to death. I want to pick their brain and find out how they got good. Mm-hmm. They don't ask you no questions no more. Everybody looked the same on offense. Everybody in the shotgun with one, either no backs or one back. It's crazy. Ain't nobody got no tight end lined up beside the tackle to run power off tackle no more. That's crazy.
You're right.
Don't nobody. I went to a school. I ain't gonna call it. I went to a school and sat down with the football coaches, and I asked the guy. I said, "Look, put your top 11 kids on the board." So he put his top 11 kids. 4 out of the 11 were running backs. 1 out of the 11 was a wide receiver. When his offense came out at practice, he had 4 wide receivers on the field and 1 back. Now, that's crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. And see, I'm never gonna do what you do. If I'm playing you, I can't beat Billy Joe throwing the football. And you should even trying. I ain't that good, but I can beat him running the ball. Cause he don't want to play that slobbermouth football. He don't want to do that. See, my boys are bred to slobbermouth. To run off that football and tear through you and rip them hips. That's what we did. We were good at that. But see, I can't beat Billy Joe. And see, too many guys now, they go and see somebody do something, and then they try to emulate, and that's not who they are. They don't have the talent to do that. Look at Army. Army is 12-0, running the football with 3 backs. It ain't broke.
Still works.
I'm never going to do what the other guy does. I want to do something different. I want to make him prepare for me in a special way. When he come to work on Sunday morning, he watch that film on us, he going to say, oh, Lord, how are we going to stop this? But if we in a spread offense with 3 backs like the guy was last week, he ain't got to do nothing different. You can play this. Everybody use a 4-2-5 defense now. Go and look at them. All of them got 4 down. They got a 1. They got a 1 technique and a 3 technique and 2 5s. 2 middle linebackers behind the guards, behind the D tackle, and the 4 deep secondary. Every now and then they might roll up in the cover 3 in 3D. Yeah. Everybody do the same thing. So you ain't got to. We had to make folks stay up all. I mean, you got to be there all day Sunday and half of the and all night Monday night to get ready for us because we're gonna do something different to you. That makes sense. I just
100%.
It makes a lot of sense, Coach. And man, you own it. You just as sharp as ever, man. Goodness.
Hey, I wanted to make sure we promote and tell people about your Bill and Carolyn Hayes Foundation Scholarship Endowment, Coach. BillHayes.org. I want to give you a chance to plug that. While we got you, if anything you want to share about your foundation and how your foundation helps HBCUs and HBCU student athletes.
Well, see, let me tell you, when I was coaching, we never had enough of anything. We never had enough scholarship money. We never had. I mean, it was a struggle. We begged for hotel rooms for recruits. We begged for recruitment meals at restaurants. So when I got out of it, I said, I don't want anybody to ever have to go through what I went through. So I'm gonna raise some money to help these coaches not have to go through what I went through. So we started the foundation, and we gave money back to Winston-Salem State. We paid for their recruitment weekends. I did. Me and my guys. My guys are my former players. They with me. We gave money to North Carolina Central, football and basketball. We gave to A&T, football and basketball. We raised enough money to give all of them some money, at least $20,000 a piece, to do odds and ends with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I do. That's what I do now. I raise money to help HBCUs in my area. My goal is to be able to help all 9 HBCUs in North Carolina. Right now we helping about 4.
Okay.
Then my nephew is the head football coach at Fayetteville State, so he may take. I helped him to send his coaches on a retreat before the season starts, get paid for the hotel rooms and that type thing. That's what I do.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know that was your nephew. That's a heck of a program that he's built over at Fayetteville State.
I raised him. He grew up in. My brother passed, and I raised him in my house.
Okay.
And so he's been in the championship game literally every year since he's been out, except this year. He had a bad year this year.
Yeah. No, they definitely have been one of the top programs in the CIAA for sure. Definitely. All right, BillHayes.org, folks. You make sure to check out, find a way to donate. and continue to help supporting HBCUs. And Coach Hayes, it is a pleasure to have you on to talk with you. First chance I've had, of course, I mean, you know Rozier well, but I'm probably speaking for Marcus. It's a pleasure to get to meet you and talk you. We always love talking to legends, sir. And so we appreciate your time tonight.
I thank you all, and I appreciate y'all having me on. And I just love the game, and you know, I got a lot of respect for FAMU, and of course, you know, James Ammons is my guy, and I loved him, and I know that your new AD, she's gonna do a wonderful job, and I'll probably be down there with her before it's all said and done. You know, I got to drive. Hey, I got to come down and hang out with her, you know, a little bit, because she did a great job for me and supported me, and I got to do the same for her. Thank y'all. I appreciate you.
All right, Coach. Take care. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to you, Coach.
Same to you all. Y'all take care.
Yes, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Coach Bill Hayes. Awesome time. Appreciate you guys checking in and in the chats and everybody, you know, for the comments, and you do wonders to go to billhayes.org, and you know, that's a great way in which you could show some love to Coach, and good stuff. Appreciate everybody and all the comments. Wow. Man. All right, let's that's good stuff, man. Good stuff. And Kelvin, you got, and I'll have to reach out to AD Suggs and remind her that, hey, when Coach Hayes does come, make sure to let us know, so that way, you know, we can be there. Like, I want to be around to definitely meet Coach. I know you'll probably be if he comes to a game or something. I know you'll be there. So
I'll probably be around.
Yeah, you'll probably be around. Exactly. All right, let's take a break and catch up on the other side. We'll get a chance to talk some FAMU football, even some FAMU basketball. Marcus will kind of update us a little bit on what's going on in the recruiting news. You know, who's coming, who's going, who's staying, who's leaving, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I don't know who's coming just yet.
Okay, nobody knows who's coming. Yeah. Let's talk about that, because that's kind of weird in itself that we don't know. But all right, so hang tight. We'll take a short break. Come back on the other side. You're watching the O&G StrikeZone right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in a moment.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Levert Experience and the Bar Cave. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends, honoring talents such as Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, and Luther Vandross. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
HBCU football fans, this year's Cricket Celebration Bowl has a new date. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 14th as the MEAC and SWAC champions meet once again. Join us in Atlanta for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Conley. Greetings, I'm Kiana Watson.
Hi, I'm Zoriana Hughes.
Greetings, I'm Nia Morgan, and for all things FAMU athletics,
check out the O&G StrikeZone
on Wednesdays at the Black College Sports Network.
Go Rattlers!
All right, welcome back to the O&G StrikeZone. Bryan, Kelvin, Marcus here. Trying to get my screen away. Hey, did you see the new promo video for softball? Speaking of FAMU softball, did you see that was kind of hot, boy? Mm-hmm. The media day video shoot. That was pretty dope, man. Squad's looking nice. Squad's rounding the shape. We ran into Coach Bill at the Florida Classic. She's excited about this upcoming season and this team. And we are too. I mean, it's a team coming back with 2 ace pitchers and some big bats, I think. So it all starts with pitching, and I think that's what's going to be interesting. So I know going into January, I know we'll get a chance to talk to Coach Beal and kind of find out what the preseason is going to look like in some of those things. So we'll. Coming up in the next month or so, we'll start digging deep into the preseason or the early off season for softball. Okay, well, football season is now into. How would we categorize this time of the year for football? Is it considered the recruiting season? What do you call it?
Free agency.
Free agency season.
Early recruiting season.
Yeah.
Early free agency.
And more important, the transfer portal season.
Yeah. We've seen so in terms of current players, I think the main thing we've seen from guys is the guys who have made their intentions known that they're going to go into the NFL draft, and so that's a great opportunity. I know we've seen Kelvin Dean, Jalen Goss,
Jeremiah
Pruitt. Yep. Who else? Kendall Bowler, of course. So all those guys who begin that process of finding the right kind of trainers so that they can kind of put the numbers. I think all of those guys will be playing in the HBCU Legacy Bowl. So that is the combine event. Well, they will have a combine event for that all-star game, which will give them an opportunity to kind of put up their first set of numbers and measurements and all that stuff in front of the scouts.
Kendall's actually accepted invite to the Hula Bowl.
I saw that. Yeah. TJ Lee also entering the draft. Thanks, Ashley, for pointing that out. TJ Lee. So, we'll kind of table the talk on who will do what when, because there'll be more time to talk about that. But as it relates to the current roster and the current guys staying, guys leaving, where do you want to go with this, Marcus? I mean, because you can go any number of directions with this. So
if you could share the screen real quick. I don't know if I'm assuming it's showing.
Yeah. Give me a second here.
Let's see if I can put it. And of course, my flash drive kind of like walked out on me. Let me see.
Yeah, you go to slide view. Go to slideshow view in the upper right corner there, and then that way I think it'll go full screen here for us.
Can you see it full screen?
No, that's what I'm saying. You have to go slideshow mode on your end.
Yeah, I did. Let me see, but it's not. It looks like it's not showing. Let me see. Let me reshare. I went to slideshow mode. Let me see. Stop sharing. Let me share again. But what I wanted to share was at least the list, as far as I know, of players that have at least made their intentions known.
There we go.
Of going in the portal.
Okay.
And so I have it hopefully in chronological order. I mean, I don't know. It all depends on who puts it out there, either on Twitter or Instagram, and still work in progress on Instagram. So mostly it's dependent on Twitter. So it looks like we have about 9 players, if my count is right, so far, who've stated intentions on going in the portal. And I do know that I do recall, I think last week's 220 QB club or Eddie Jackson 220 QB club, I think Coach Colsey said there might be a defensive lineman going into the portal. So I don't know. I guess he was just finishing up exit interviews with all the players. So he said there might be some didn't really hit. And to answer, I guess, Steve Campbell's question, I saw a tweet from him that hinted something about the portal, and then it got deleted, or at least it's not showing up. So I don't know. And I thought he may have exhausted his eligibility, but I did see it real quick. I didn't do a screen capture, but I did see the tweet. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Ashley. But I listed him up there just in case, because he did the same thing this past spring and, had a change of heart. So, starting off with the Jalen Ward, I mean, he announced, I forgot what game it was. He sat out the last 2 or 3 games and said he was going to intend to transfer at the end of the season or during the portal open. And then last week, reserve offensive lineman KJ McCoo announced Michael Smith and Trey Wilhoit, the 2 special teamers that we kind of, I don't know, maybe some offhand suspicions on what was going on after the 4th game. They announced officially on December 2nd. The portal didn't open until December 9th, but folks made some announcements early. Judify Michael was a reserve DB athlete. Announced he was looking for a new opportunity. Eric Horn, we'll see. It pans out there. David Oliveros Jordan announced this week on Monday, as did Janet Ogunlade, or one of the FBS transfers who came in this year. I think he came in from University of Buffalo. He's a Maryland native. And then Braylon Oliver, one of the DBs that came in. I don't remember if that's the young man from Syracuse or from someplace else, but I think so. And so, we have at least 1, 2, 3, 8, potentially 9 so far. And, we'll have to see. Well, we already know that we're going to have to replace just from graduation, because I think we have 20, somewhere up around 20 players who are seniors. So once again, we're going to have a pretty significant amount of turnover, and that's even before the era that we're in now, with a lot of roster turnover, a lot of NIL poaching, if you will, and declarations of jumping in the portal. So we'll have to see how things go. I think the two. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. While you were saying that, I was trying to pull up the link. You mentioned the guys who were graduating. I was trying to pull that list up if I can find it.
I think that in terms of on-field performance, I think the bigger impacts of folks leaving probably Michael Smith, Trey Wilhoit, and Eric Horn.
Yeah. Starters.
Yes.
Starters. Definitely. Horn. Horn was a starter, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or at least, okay. Yeah.
And so everybody made declarations, but I don't know if anybody has made a final decision where they're going. It's still early in the process. In my understanding, I think the portal remains open from this Monday, December 9th through December 28th. I'm not sure what day of the week that is. I guess that's.
I think it's a Monday, right?
Okay. I'm not sure. I have to check that window.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I want to say about the portal is that guys need to be careful. There's a change in the roster size at the FBS level. So that's automatically pushing anywhere from 30 plus kids into the portal, because they won't be carrying the same amount. They won't be carrying the 145, 150, whatever it was, So you got that. And already the way the portal was already set up, over 55% of the kids who in the portal never leave the portal. So that it was that way already before this influx and the change at the FBS program level.
Mhm.
So you really probably should only get in the portal if truly you're super unhappy for playing opportunity and you got a place to go. You know,
Yes.
Coach Hayes gave a lot of words of wisdom about development, and I believe a lot of the kids in the portal are development type kids. So,
Hmm. And to your point, Kelvin, yeah, I think that I don't know if they officially ratified it, but they're having a roster cap, if you will, if you want to mix collegiate and NFL terms or pro terms. They're having a roster cap of 105 on the football side. So if I want to say NCAA rules allow you to carry a roster of 120, so that's 15 players for each FBS school if they adopt it and they adopt it for this coming season. That's 15 times what, 120 FBS playing schools. So whatever that number is, so that's over 1,000 players right there that are being exercised from rosters just because of the roster limits. And so then now you have that and the previous things that we've seen just from a percentage basis, as you alluded to, that kids go in the portal and only maybe 30 or 40% actually end up on somebody else's roster after they jump in the portal. So now you have that. And then you still have the high schools. So even though and I want to touch on that a little bit and have a round table about that, is that now you have high school students who are either getting pushed out or are secondary or tertiary concerns, or the cherry pick the top 5-star and 4-star. So that's even fewer roster spots that are being allocated for those who jump in the portal, unless you really, really, really stand out. Now, as it relates to us, I was kind of mildly disappointed. I'm kind of taking a wait and see approach, but I had a early signing day thread and everything already in the pit, and it's like, dang, we signed one person, Chase Dexter, who is a FBS transfer from Air Force Academy, played at Plant City. Other than that, I haven't seen anything. Maybe there's something under the radar. Yeah, I understand that, EA. What I'm saying is for FBS is crowding the market. You're saturating the market. That's what Kelvin was alluding to in terms of the number of players. So now it puts a lot of onus on the coaching staff for us, because now you have even more players to evaluate. So you have to, and in theory, if it's the bottom 15 in theory of an FBS roster, is that bottom 15 players, is that going to be somebody who's going to contribute to us? Is that somebody we want to put on the roster? Because the FBS team is going to keep their top 15 of the 105, and then there may be even more cuts or spots taken from their jump in the portal. So there may be some other folks who may be asked to leave. So then you have to look at the quality of the people that are actually flooding the portal.
Let me ask this question. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to add, the portal has got so many fascinating angles to it. And one of the things I would suggest, particularly as it relates to FAMU, is that you have to choose kids who want to be here. When you see kids jumping, this is their third time in the portal, they already been to 2 schools, man, you might want to pass on that kid, because that's somebody who have commitment issues or might not want to work hard and prove themselves. So it's just things like that when coaches are doing the assessments of all this inventory that's down in the portal. I think Coach Hayes talked about the culture of FAMU, and I think what has worked for Coach Simmons and all those before him who were successful at FAMU is understanding there is a culture at FAMU, and it's a winning, successful culture. and you have to embrace it some. You have to not be offended by it. It ain't for everybody. So, you sell FAMU and folks who want to be at FAMU. I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask this question for you, Kelvin, and even Marcus. With the changes that are coming or advertised to be coming in the NCAA, what one or two things do you think are the most important things that AD Suggs is going to have to, and even our president or whomever, or maybe even our board of trustees, that are going to have to be addressed with these upcoming changes? What do you think? What are the two most important things? I mean, there's a lot there, but what do you think?
I would say guess the first thing is understanding the full ramifications of this House versus the NCAA. I mean, almost every day or every other day, I'm seeing interpretations, changes, rules, and I don't know if they've really looked at the ramifications of it and how much of that's going to trickle down to the FCS and HBCU level in terms of pay, in terms of what we can afford, what we're willing to spend, all those type things, and how that's going to change some of the paradigms and operating our modus operandi going forward for us as a university. Understanding how, because we're seeing even the last day or so, we're seeing like some pro level demands, real or imagined, on Twitter. It's like, okay, there's a young man at the University of Florida who wants guaranteed starter position, third down, and such, like 5 figures every a month.
Really? That's the demands coming up? I totally missed
yes.
that.
Now I don't know if it's not verified because
wow.
Yeah, I don't know if it's verified because Twitter's like being on the internet saying you're a French model, and you take it with a grain of salt. So who knows? But there have been a few things coming out, and I've sent some to our amongst ourselves, like where it's like almost NFL like demands and press releases by players' agents, even as freshmen. Freshmen at Power 4 schools, like my agent saying I got X, Y, and Z money for a deal. So understanding what those ramifications are at the HBCU and the FCS level. And like, okay, is that realistic? And just understanding going forward, what does this look like? And what kind of talent, going forward with the NIL collective that FAMU has, what kind of talent does that, for lack of a better term, afford us?
Okay.
And then how to police, because it's brazen now. It's out in the open. Everything that was under the table is like on the table, and like spades just slapped on the table now. So it's like,
well, at least you know what we're working with. At least I guess that might be the one good thing about this. Now you know what you're working with. You know what and then it comes down to your talent evaluation. Is so and so worth the trouble or the financial investment that's going to have to be made if you want it?
So I think Coach Hayes hit the nail on the head, in terms of you got to develop kids, I think, in HBCUs, because we're not going to be in the running for those kids who want money. So we just have to embrace and understand that. That's why I stress FAMU has so much to offer academically, socially, weather-wise, location. So and we putting guys in the pros every year. So you get opportunity. So you sell those things and you pick up those guys who want to be at FAMU. That's our key. And the other reason why that is key is because when those guys put up numbers and they got a year or two left, here come the big dogs trying to, convince them to get in the portal. Or sometimes it ain't universities. it's just as many agents out there who have created NIL agencies that target kids. And as we saw with a lot of the kids who left our program, who were starters, and had they stayed at FAMU this year, would be in position to actually get an opportunity to play in the league, right? To prove themselves like the guys before them.
They'd have tape. They'd have tape. They'd have
all of them went and took maybe $1,000 a month, $5,000 for the semester. They went and did that, and almost all of them are either in the portal again, or have wasted their final year of eligibility. So it's important that the kids, who they listen to matters. And to your question specifically about what the administrators at HBCUs can do, and I'm going to speak specifically to FAMU, and I know some of this is already happening, but it's 2 bullet points that I want to emphasize. Bullet point 1 is something Coach Hayes kind of, kind of talked about, but didn't, and it was related to our culture. So athletics has been treated in many people's opinion, who have worked in athletics at FAMU, as separate from the rest of the university, right? You got to raise your own money and be self-sufficient, and you can't help with this, you can't help with that. And there's never been an effort to collectively treat it for what it is, number one, which is the biggest event that happens on campus that people come back to and support.
Right.
And there's so many things we can do. I mean, we have Gaither Gym, which I know they're working on the floor now. They just did the roof, and hopefully, I think some things will happen with the scoreboard and PA system and locker room where it can become the home of lady volleyball, right?
That would be nice.
Coach AD Suggs has went out and got money from US TEA Florida. And we've already done 1 court. So the money we got there should be able to do the other courts. And so, we make an investment in facilities. The track, we talk about the restrooms, the locker room, meeting rooms, those type things. And I know there's a discussion happening with P3 and Capital Campaign. My point is that the entire university community, internal university community, as well as the external, have to see their role in investing in athletics at every opportunity, so that it's not that we have an athletic program, but we have a winning athletic program. Because people invest, you talking about sponsorships and everything, people invest when people butts in the seats. People want to be associated with winners. So that's a culture change shift and a commitment, where the basketball team can get into the Lawson Center, whenever they need to do extra workouts, and the weight room that's sitting in the Lawson Center can be accessed by the student athletes that is hardly ever used, and it's those kind of things. So that's one, and then the other part is just do all those things. You need money, so we have to have naming rights. We have to have the capital campaigns. We need to do the P3s that have revenue streams around it year round, those type things.
A couple of questions here. Let me see. Corinthian Morgan asked the question, okay. How much longer can we as an institution continue to compete if we continue to lose coaches and players due to lack of money?
That's called a program. Programs, you're going to lose at our level. When you coaches are successful, you're going to lose them. All right. That's the reality of it. I don't personally, and Marcus has spoken to this several times on the show, I don't mind us being a feeder program.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I would love to hire a coach and they don't want to go anywhere and they be like Coach Hayes and coach 20 years, but that's highly unlikely. Successful coaches now going to move on at some point. They're going to get bigger opportunities. Now, if we grow our program, if the SWAC and our HBCU conference put together better media deals and we if our HBCUs grow athletically and we win some out of conference games and it seems more competitive, then we can grow just like, for instance, our FCS 1AA Brethrens did, right? UCF used to be 1AA.
Yeah.
Troy used to be 1AA.
Yeah.
Georgia Southern used to be 1AA. Appalachian State used to be 1AA. I want to see HBCUs have the vision and the plan to invest in athletics and make it the best it can be. We have some things built in that are unique, that are niche in the market that we can do at our scale, right? I'm not talking Power for $200 million budgets, but we can get the realistically $35-40 million budgets. But that requires the same thing I said, how FAMU has to learn to work together, all aspects of it. The whole HBCU diaspora has to do the same thing, right? Our conferences, our commissioners, we can't let our rivalries and our jealousies get in the way of business. The business of making the HBCU athletic brand the best it can be. That's the way I see it.
Agree. And if you just use the folks in our footprint, the SEC, I mean, they have rivalries that go back, way back to when their schools are founded in terms of athletics and academics and everything. But if it's SEC against everybody, it's SEC against everybody. There's no splintering. And they've pretty much run a bully campaign between them and the Big Ten in terms of making the moves that are being made now and everything that we're seeing coming down the pike. And to your point, Kelvin, as it relates to the feeder or for coaches, I mean, look, you have Coach Prime left Jackson State, went to Colorado. Coach Simmons had a 1 season stop at Duke, but basically went from FAMU to Duke to FIU. So we have 2 coaches in the SWAC within the last 4 years that have elevated to an FBS coaching position. So we need to take advantage of that and promote it from a marketing standpoint. Like, hey, we develop good coaches and they go on to get FBS level jobs, and not look at that as, somebody's selling out. And I think for the most part, I've seen kudos to Coach Simmons in terms of him getting and a lot of FAMU folks are proud of him for having achieved that goal. But that's the same thing. We go back 20 years looking at the MAC, the Mid-American Conference in football. It seemed like almost every year they have a coach who did a turnaround from either Northern Illinois or Miami of Ohio or somebody like that. And next thing you know, Pitt calling them or Syracuse or whoever. And it still goes on now. It's a little bit more of a coaching carousel trading. But we could develop the same type of reputation if we choose to embrace that, because like you're saying, the paradigm now isn't to die in the job. Coaches are looking to move. Players are looking to move. Everybody's looking to move. So if you at least have embraced the mentality that someone's not going to stay here forever, you can market it. You can promote that person literally or figuratively, or promote the idea that you can get there from here. We do the same with the players in terms of going to the NFL. So why not hype up that same prospects in terms of coaching? But we have to embrace that. We can't look at it as somebody selling out or somebody likes us colder and all that type of stuff, because look, I mean, as soon as Coach Simmons' signature wasn't really dry yet on the FAMU contract in December 2017, before we had talked about how long is he going to be here? Because if he does as well that we think he's going to do, and that he was the job he was hired to come and do, he's not going to be here long. He was in his mid to late 30s then. He's not going to be here like Coach Jake Gaither until, he's got 200 wins and ready to retire and old and gray. No, he has aspirations. And we should embrace that.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. Any other talking points regarding football before we kind of transition to some of the other sports and just some other stuff in the SWAC? Or just,
I know. Well, I guess Coach Colsey is in Miami. Coach Colsey's in Miami, according to the 220 Club meeting today. So hopefully he's tapping some of those recruits down there on the shoulder, like, hey, why don't you come up north?
What's that recruiting scene going to be like now in South Florida, man? Now that we got
that's a good question too, because I was really kind of disappointed. Even the two guys we got verbally committed in September, I don't think they signed. I didn't see anything on social media.
They high school kids, and most high school kids going to wait till a regular signing period so they can sign in front of it. Even though they could do it now, you rarely see, outside of a few 5-stars, you rarely see kids sign this early out of high school.
Yeah, and so I was kind of like, I hope they didn't change their mind. So, we had, and even Coach Colsey said we expect 2 or 3 to sign with us today and then hit the portal. And the one signee we got was the transfer from Air Force Academy, the DB, Chase Dexter out of Plant City. I don't know if he was anticipating the 2 verbal commits, Mickey Maddox from Lincoln and I want to say Sam, not Washington. I can't remember. I know Sam something the 4th out of Western High School in Davie. I don't know if he expected them to sign. But now, the gates are open between the portal, any high school kids who may not have gotten the offer that they thought, and anything else. But I did want to ask a question. And actually, there's a question I was going to ask Coach Colsey. I'm going to bounce it off of you two guys. I know we're very, very proud, and as we should be, in terms of our top 100 ranking. And we've seen progressively more selective admissions for FAMU. Does that, in your minds, put us in position where, I don't know, I want to call it easier to look at transfers who have the grades versus high school students coming directly out of high school?
I don't know if it's a direct correlation. Transfers, people with AA degrees tend, just in general, not just student athletes, tend to matriculate through at a higher rate, a higher level. They're more prepared for college. High school kids, any sport now, actually, you're just not bringing in many. You're bringing in transfers first, and then you filling out your depth and your roster for balance with the high school kids. In terms of our academic standards, we're one of the hardest HBCUs, schools, period, colleges, period, universities to get into, but they have waivers, just like all schools have. So you can get a few exceptions in. You can't get the numbers, and whether that's an advantage or not, depends how you look at it. I would tell you, coaches talk about all the time how they're competing against schools in our conference who let 99%, 93%, 91% of the students in. They pretty much get anybody in this schools. So
what was that stat that we were sharing? What was that? Was that for this past fall or was that last year?
Don't remember. And I think we have to give credit.
I don't remember. Yeah.
I think Kenny might have compiled that, but yeah, it showed, we were on the low range
Very low,
in terms of the acceptance percent. So,
yeah.
and that's why I'm asking the question. Is like, because I don't remember. I'm trying to think of. I can only think of maybe one or two of my flash drive is acting up, or I'll be able to tell you better. But I can only remember one or two of the freshman high school signees that we thought we were going to get that actually showed up on campus. And I don't know, if it's in terms of, changing the change of heart or acceptance into school. But I think the one gentleman, he was a defensive lineman and tight end from Monarch High School. I want to say Landon Bolding. And he was a freshman. I saw some pictures of him. There were a couple guys that had committed and I think actually signed, but I don't know if they made it on campus. So I can think of at least 3 freshmen who that might have been the case, or at least didn't see them unless they're in the black hole, being redshirted or something. But
I think
to your point, real quick, to the point, Coach Hayes talked about the percentage or the number of kids that you're gonna lose through attrition anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's double when it comes to FAMU, because even if you get those kids in, you think about the kids we signed out of the portal last year, this time, and how many actually made it to the fall.
Mm-hmm.
What was it, 1 or 2?
Yeah, for last year's early signing period. Now, a few of them dipped just because Coach Simmons left and they just rescinded. They said, okay, I'm not coming. So you have to figure out which ones were actually.
But I'm talking about the ones who actually signed, who actually, were at least on campus at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we do have to be careful and selective that the kids we bring in are serious about going to school too. Because once you hear those, you got to take the same classes everybody else got to take, But go ahead. I'm sorry, Bryan.
No. You bring up a good point, and I was going to kind of piggyback on what Kenya put in there about the 21% acceptance rate. That going through the portal makes more sense for us because, and I remember Coach Colsey saying when he went into the portal, he was trying to find guys that not just would be there for 1 year, but trying to find guys that were 2 to 3 year potential players. Like they would be in the even if they were in the portal, they've got at least 2 years of eligibility, maybe 3, because that gives you time to develop. And then also I'll say this: getting a kid that's already been in college and knows how to manage the rigors of college work seems like an advantage versus a high school student who is kind of 50-50. You might not know what you get. He might need extra help. He might not know how to manage his time, might not know how to manage it. There's a lot of massaging and work that goes into a college freshman. I mean, you all remember, I still remember, and those of us who have, who either work with high school students or have high school students, you know how difficult it is. So now add on top of that being a collegiate athlete. So yes, this day and age, if you can find good portal talent, it makes sense. Now, with that said, let me go to a question that Jimmy Mack asked, and I think I saved it because Jimmy asked about the he said talk about the program's APR if a kid goes into the portal and not picked up by another institution. And that's another aspect of this whole portal world now that I still have a feeling that this APR thing is not really going to be seriously. Like, I think there are going to be changes to it where it's not going to be as punitive in terms of its damages as it may have once been because there's so much jumping around. But I don't know that to be a fact. It would just, if you just read the tea leaves and see how things are moving, I don't know how anybody can argue and say, yes, I'm holding you all to the same standards as before when this thing is a Wild West and it's free agency. What are we doing?
Hey, as you noticed, or maybe you haven't noticed, the NCAA is not really doing any sanctions when it comes to APR.
Exactly. Real quiet.
Yeah.
Real quiet. Yeah. So, all right. Couple other questions and thoughts that I got in here. Let me see.
I saw what people were asking about coaching changes and so forth. What I would say is this: I don't have any intel per se, but I know that coach is still doing interviews, essay interviews, both with players as well as staff. So, and then there's a lot of opportunities out there. So it's probably going to take a week or two to, grades finals are here, graduation's going to happen. Grades are just getting ready to get posted for the fall semester. That may impact some guys. So it's a little early to proclaim anything. It'll clear up in about probably, I would say, we can have it'll start to clear up.
It has really been slow. And speaking of coaching changes, just across the diaspora, it's been slow. We've only, there were on Sunday, and I noted this on the show that I do on Sunday, the BCS and Sports Wrap, right here on the Black College Sports Network. Shameless plug. There were 10 job openings around the HBCU, FCS, and Division II level, with the thought that this week we might see at least a couple more. Those have yet to happen. And maybe maybe we're waiting for after the Celebration Bowl. Maybe we're waiting on after Christmas. I don't know what we're waiting on. But it does seem interestingly quiet right now. Do you guys feel the same way? And so when we talk about coaching changes on our own,
you mean from our program? Yeah, it is.
Well,
and I have to believe that's intentional right now.
Okay, I just think our changes might even be affected by the entire landscape. That no change. We've seen 2 coaches get hired. Is that right? 2? No, 1. One guy has been hired, like within a 48-hour period. But as we learned, that was all done and worked on in the backyard. That was all ready to go. It just needed somebody to pull the trigger. But outside of what happened at A&T, no other job that has come open has been filled yet. Right. And they've been sitting, and the longest one right now is Prairie View, and I think that one has been about 2 weeks.
Well, just think about it. Those schools are just like how our coaching searches happen. They would tell you got to go through the process and all that, which is true. But the reality is they have to pay those coaches off that were on those lines, and they ain't gonna have no money for the coach they hired to start it for at least 4 weeks anyway. So you start hearing coaches getting those positions getting filled toward the end of December, the 1st of January. And that's tough because recruiting going on now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a lot of I don't know. It just seems like a very odd time and a very late time. People who are still on staff are still out recruiting. If you were still on contract, I guess you're being asked to still recruit, but you got to be feeling uneasy because I don't know, in 4 weeks you may not have a job. You may be recruiting for somebody that you don't know. It could all change in a month for a lot of schools.
Oh yeah.
So be patient, folks. We'll see what's going on. Let me see. Mr. Campbell asking why our academic standards. Why is our academic standards the same as the academic standard? Athletic standards the same as academic standards when all the other schools are admission minimum. Kelvin, any thoughts there, or Marcus?
It's part of that whole speech I said with the whole university has to treat athletics like it's a part of the university, and in doing so, do things that give our athletic department some flexibility and ability to be competitive, You've had Coach Shoop on here and he's talked about, some of the challenges in his recruiting versus, the people he got to recruit and beat in conference. And he finds a way to do it, but it's still a challenge, and he has to jump through way more hurdles and be a lot more selected than, a lot of other programs. So that's an institution question. And I can't wait till the next time. I know there's a town hall coming up. AD Suggs has got one coming up, I think, sometime in January. And I can't wait till that happens. And that's an awesome question, Coach Campbell. And hopefully we'll get some of those answers then.
Should we dare even mention about our own presidential search or lack thereof, as Will Davis asked?
I mean, what we gonna say? They have not moved forward 3 times with a search committee.
Hmm.
It is what it looked like.
All right. Well, I mean, we know this board can move quick when they want to. I guess they just have to be inspired enough to want to. Right? I mean,
hey, the politics in the state of Florida, boy, nobody knows what's finna happen. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let me make mention here for a second. Coming up on Friday night, the ESPN Band of the Year competition taking place. I believe you will be able to, I think you can stream this and watch this if you have ESPN Plus. Have you guys heard anything on that?
Not on the streaming side of it, no.
All right.
But it is an ESPN event, so I would think so. I don't know. I don't know.
I would think you can. Again, the Marching 100 participating, going up against the North Carolina A&T Blue and Gold Marching Machine.
Who won it last year?
Yeah, who won it last year. Edwin did say it is live, so I'm assuming you have to have the ESPN Plus app to be able to watch it live. Starts at 6 o'clock. You have competition going on between 2 bands in the Division II level. I believe that's Miles College and Virginia State University. And then they have 2 high school bands as well.
Mm-hmm.
I had it pulled up a second ago. But anyway, 2 high school bands.
I'm interested to see what kind of attendance will be at this event. It wasn't well attended last year. And, they announced the bands, kind of within a week and a half, 2 weeks tops of having to host the event. And that is tough for our schools and our community, especially during the graduation time period as well as the holiday time period. So I suspect that's part of the reason that, plus it's a new event. People are just not familiar with it. So I wonder what it's going to look like this time around. I know Jackson State is they got some kind of boom thing. They done some boom bootleg band thing they done did.
Boom bootleg. I love it. The boom. Yeah, exactly. Boom bootleg. Yeah, they're doing some of their own shenanigans over somewhere, talking about the event that we want to participate in. Never forget that they were a part of it last year. They lost last year, and I think
that's right.
Salty about it. So they're like, well, we're not going to try this year. Okay.
Yeah.
So
we got to work together, people.
Yeah, man.
Instead of trying to take the shine off an official ESPN event that is sponsored and put money into our programs, I'm just saying we got to start. We can't let things get in the way of business. And that's a perfect example of it, in my opinion.
Okay, a question here. First off, I appreciate you, Marvin Allen, man. Thank you for the support. Much appreciated. Much love. Appreciate you. Hollow asked the question before the show ends. Do we believe we need to go to having a full-time recruiting director?
Yeah.
Yes.
And actually, back in September, I came across somebody's account that has something like that, but she may be on campus recruiting. Like, I don't want to. She may facilitate and be the director of hosting recruits, but not necessarily like the recruiter who goes out and does things. But I've never got confirmation of that, of her role, or whether she even has a role. Right. So I'm not going to put a name out there, but yes, we should.
Okay. Let's hit a couple of other news and notes here. I see I'm starting some questions. I appreciate you guys in the chat. We'll come to. I'm not going to leave any questions out. But
Marcus done gave his 2-minute warning.
All right. Well, sorry, folks. See, that might cut into your question time. So then I won't be. Well, you tell me. Do we want to talk about this, or do we want to go to questions while we got Marcus? Marcus, what do you want to do? We'll talk basketball, or you want to go to questions from the chat?
Let's go to questions from the chat.
All right. We'll sorry, basketball. We'll mention it in a second. Okay. More questions from the chat. Let me see. I've hit most of those. Melissa's asking for predictions for the Celebration Bowl. Do you want to hold on to that for a moment?
Yeah, let's see what else we got first.
All right. Will's talking about the whole ESPN not renewing media rights deal with the SWAC. Any thoughts?
Don't know enough about it, but what I will say is I see it as an opportunity, because I don't know if if they were doing justice in terms of, I mean, you saw HBCU go and the quality of that. And outside of football, how many live events were they covering? I was disappointed that a lot of our championship games weren't, on live linear TV and stuff. And so and the way most conferences are doing it, I like what the Big Ten and some of those other schools are doing, where they have multiple platforms. They got Fox or CBS or ABC or what have you, and then they have a streaming service. And so I think just like the NFL did, Amazon Prime, and I mean, there's so many different opportunities now. And so I've been told by a reliable source that the SWAC commissioner has expert consultant working with him, and I hope that's the case. And I look forward to being able to see HBCU content, sports content, on multiple platforms a lot, all throughout the week, and that financially our conferences and our schools get paid in the same market as the least the lower level G5 schools.
Yeah, this would be an opportunity. This would be an opportunity to see our true market value and to put it out there. It's almost like we're jumping in the portal. We'll see how much other folks are willing to pay. Now, the one thing, and so I don't know all the numbers behind. I know there's been a lot of discussion around, whether we're getting shafted and we're getting underpaid or it's undervalued. So we'll see if that's the case. But also, I mean, for me personally, especially not being in Florida or in the Southeast region, I did like the convenience of the ESPN Plus. So hopefully that won't be lost on whatever the next platform or platforms will be. But if it's going to allow for more revenue, go for it.
I'm cautiously optimistic. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Brian, if you're saying something, I can't hear you.
Sorry. What I was saying is Demetrius' question here with HBCU Go. It would seem like it, Demetri. You know, I don't know. You know, put it like this: being part of a company that has streamed multiple games at the same time in the same time windows is not terribly difficult. It's not. And there's no loss in quality based on which stream you go to. We, the Black College Sports Network, have done it before. We have, I remember specifically, there was an afternoon in February, maybe last year or the year before, we broadcast 3 or 4 basketball games across the SEC schools that we had, SIAC schools we had contracts with, and they all had home games. We streamed all of those games at the same time. You know, so the people who wanted to go see Miles can see Miles. The people who wanted to go see another could, you know. I mean, so I can't speak for other networks. Don't know why they don't do it. Why they're not available. You know, it's that's the frustrating part in all of this. And it is interesting, I guess. You know, I always come back to. I kind of scoff at the whole notion of what our value is because we don't really get accuracy in the numbers, in the ratings. That's the hard part, to be able to define. And so you can try to set your own market if you want, you know, and if you set your own market, well, you better be able to back it up with some numbers. And you better be able to advertise, and you better be able to have advertisers and sponsorships. I think all that goes into it, you know. But I also wonder I think about, and even at the school levels, right? Like, think about this. Let's take the Rattler Plus. Has Rattler Plus benefited the athletic department? We really don't know if it does. Like, I thought about this for a second, the fact that if I were in Tallahassee, I could go to a basketball game for free. But being here in Orlando, I want to watch that same basketball game. I have to pay to watch it. And so I'm like, okay, if I'm buying into the fact that Rattlers Plus is a fundraising arm that the athletic department is using, which, okay, it should be a revenue generator. How much money are you making? I mean, how many of us are paying for Rattlers Plus? How many of you guys who are watching this show right now, how many of you are watching or paying, whether it be monthly or the yearly subscription for Rattlers Plus? Give me a thumbs up. If you are subscribed as a Rattler Plus subscriber, give me a thumbs up in the chat. I'm just curious. We can carry on the conversation. I'm looking to see how many, you know, very informal poll here. Yeah, I haven't seen the thumbs up yet. That to me would be a problem. That's a problem. Now, yeah, so I don't know. I'll move forward because okay, hold on. I got EA. Yeah, I see a couple people. Okay, Montre Bennett, EA, Gail. Okay, good. I see Demetra. Okay, so we got a few people. Kenya. Okay, good. We got a few people. All right, good. Jared Brown. Hold on. It's Corinthian. Is that a cap? What? Oh, wait a minute. What is that? Is that a hand up, thumbs up?
No, I think that's a shrug.
Oh, yeah. A shrug. Yeah. And Edwin at Southern said they pay twice as much at SU for basketball by paying the cost of admission for both games online.
Dang. Okay.
And I will say this: compared to some other schools in the SWAC, yes, Rattlers Plus is a deal. I've told y'all about, Jackson State charges you like $20 for one game. If you want to go see FAMU against Jackson State when we travel there, man, that one game fee is like $20.
And that's just not the way to do it. Someone mentioned it in the comments. That's something Hollow, I think it was. They got to fix that. You got to have some consistency, and so you got SWAT Digital there. You got to leverage it so that fans can follow their teams, and that's consistent with the price set and the quality of the broadcast, because the quality is not consistent from school to school either.
All right. Well, I think we come to most of the questions that we got, Marcus. So I know you got to get ready to bounce here.
Yeah, and I got to get my drive working. I was gonna go over the PowerPoint with the Olympic sports. I don't know if we went over that before. The Olympic signees like basketball.
No,
track.
we haven't this year yet. I mean,
okay, so I have it ready. I just right when we went to commercial break, my flash drive is not picking up on it, so I can do that next week.
Yeah, we'll pick it up next week. What's your prediction for the Celebration Bowl?
Celebration Bowl. Jackson State is a 1-point favorite.
That's gonna be tough. I'm trying to be objective and not sprinkle any
No, man, don't be objective. Go with your gut. Go with your gut. Go with your hunch and your intuition. We've seen both of these teams play.
We have. No, we saw South Carolina State early.
Yes.
But, I mean, they've been balling lately. So this is going to be
they are not the same. I said this earlier. I don't think they are the same. They are not the same team that we played back in
August.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been predicting close games all year, even for us. I'm going to say this is a close game. I'm going to say something like 31-27 South Carolina State. Now, for Jackson, is Jacoby and Morgan?
They not. We don't know, and I don't think they're going to say until game time.
Okay.
They going.
Because I saw he got injured. I didn't see what the degree, but the backup quarterback came in last week, so I don't know how much impact. But I'm saying 31-27 South Carolina State.
31-27 South Carolina State. Okay. Good stuff. Band of the year prediction?
Marching 100.
Just checking. Just want to check your Rattler card.
No repeat Chatler. No repeat champions.
No repeat champions.
Mm-mm.
All right. Mr. Campbell said Morgan is going to start. All right. So, well, we'll see.
Will he finish?
Will he finish? Yeah, I tell you.
Yeah. South Carolina State is pretty physical.
Hey, if they can get to the quarterback the way Southern got to the quarterback, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting to see what South Carolina State's defensive line does.
And I'm sure they're gonna have a game plan for in case they go with the third string quarterback and that run game, the different element he brought once he came into the game.
Yeah. It'll be fascinating.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get my prediction quick.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going with South Carolina State. I always said from the beginning of the season, and as this thing shaped up, and it looked like it was gonna be these two teams. I do think it's gonna be a competitive game.
Mm-hmm.
But I like South Carolina State. Let's say 30-24. And of course the 100 to beat A&T.
I'm going South Carolina State. It's a 1-point spread. I don't know. There's no real value that I can find on the spread or the total or the money line, I should say. So I will go South Carolina State. South Carolina State is my number one ranked team. They've been my number one ranked team since they beat North Carolina Central. I will say this: the one key factor, can South Carolina State be up by a touchdown going into halftime? What worries me is if South Carolina State is tied up with Jackson at halftime, that Jackson State defense, the last 6 or 7 games, they've only given up 13 points. And that's one score in each of the last 3. And the only time that somebody scored in the fourth quarter was Southern getting a field goal. So the defense in the second half has really carried Jackson State. Question is, Jackson State, can South Carolina State's defense get to Morgan? Can they bottle up Mulligan? That's what's going to be fascinating to watch. That's what's going to be really fascinating to watch. So I'll go, I'll go South Carolina State 28-24. 28-24 over Jackson.
All right.
All right.
Let's go.
Yeah, so,
all right, sirs.
All right, check out Marcus. Let Marcus check out, because we want to. I do want to talk about no losses in Lawson real quick.
I got you. All right, Marcus. We'll talk soon. All right. All right. So transitioning over to the basketball court here for a second. JT said no bold prediction. Oh yeah, no bold prediction. Got a bold prediction?
This ain't FAMU. I don't do bold predictions, but for the FAMU games.
No bold prediction. No bold predictions for non-FAMU games, JT. Sorry. Okay, so FAMU men and women took care of business on Friday and Saturday. Last games before the finals break. The men got was it their third win at Lawson or second? Third win at Lawson. Improving to 5-3 as they took on Trinity.
3-5.
I'm sorry, what did I say?
5-3.
3. Yeah, 3-5, correctly. They took on Trinity College out of somewhere in Florida. Put up 130 points, which matched the Rattlers' historic scoring mark set back in 1989 against Delaware State. Jesus, that had to be a conference game. If it was Delaware State, it had to be a MEAC conference game. 5 players scored in double figures. Sterling Young had 25 points. He was 6 of 7 from the three-point arc. Caleb Washington had 22. Shakir O'Neal had 20 with 6 rebounds. Jacoby Hendricks and Milton Matthews both had 11 points. Rattlers shot 59% from the field, knocked down 7 3-pointers. Dominated inside, outscoring Trinity 64-14 in the paint, winning the rebounding battle 48-29. This performance sounds like the kind of team that Coach Crary thought he had. Knew it was a team that could shoot the ball. And so it was good to see these guys finally
light somebody up.
Yeah, light somebody up. Yeah, I can't say it any clearer than that. Did you make it to this game? Did you get a chance to see this in person?
I did not, man. I did not. Neither game, actually, which was unusual, but I had some stuff going on. But I will say this. You have to take in consideration, who they were playing, but to their credit, they did exactly what they're supposed to do when you play an opponent like that. They beat the snot out of them. And I just think, games like this, what it does for our program, because we play so many Power 4 schools and those money games, I think it gives us confidence and let us know, get those kids a taste of victory, right? When you work that hard, man, you practice like they do, and at odd hours and got classes and everything. You want to have that taste of victory. And so to put a performance like this and having lost on their home field, Coach Kerr hadn't lost that Lawson yet.
Nope.
So
Not.
Kudos, man. We got 3 wins. We had 6 or 7 wins last year, all of last year.
Yeah.
And we actually lost to a D2 school last year. So, we're where we need to be right now, right? Going into conference now. We go out to Utah and BYU. Those going to be, tough tasks, but it would be nice to see us be competitive in those games. And for this team, it comes down to shot making and turnovers. When they shoot the free throws, better than 65, 70, 70%, and they shoot the 3-point better than 35%, right? Then their offense would keep them competitive. But when those shots ain't falling, and they 28%, and they 60% from the foul line against those Power 4 schools, then those scores get those margins are 40 points. And I just want to add, I like what was that Gremlin? Yeah, it was
Gremlin women's basketball coach.
I love her honesty.
Yeah.
These are money. Those games are money games. Them kids ain't learning nothing from playing those games. And the argument that it prepared them for conference play.
The one thing I don't agree.
I don't buy that.
I don't agree entirely with what she said. The one thing though that did stand out to me, which I give her respect for, was she noted where the kids were coming from that she recruited. Now, when you recruit certain kids who are used to playing these Power 5 games, they know what it is going in. There's no sticker shock. Like, that, okay, we're going to play these Power 5 programs, and if we don't come out sharp, we're going to get it handed to us. But we also know what this is. We know we'll be okay. She mentioned that she recruited girls who had come from mid-major programs, and some of these mid-major programs don't function that way. They don't play 8 money games on an 11-game non-conference schedule, right? And so she talked about how it could affect the psyche of her team. That's real. Yes. I think that's real. Absolutely. But I also think I've always wondered this, especially with men's basketball. Man, if I got the kind of schedule where I've got top talent, I'm using as a recruiting tool, saying, hey, come be a part of something where you could be a team that does what Southern has done. Southern men's basketball has won a pair of games against some Power 6 basketball conference teams, right? And they go into those games knowing that we're going to get paid a lot of money for the school. But if we can beat this team, it's going to improve our chances at the end of the year on the conference net rating. So while I love the honesty, I also am kind of like, Coach, I want you to have I want your girls to play at their best. I want them to be ready to compete. Now, I don't know if she's saying that they weren't ready to compete, but I guess, anyway. Yeah. Speaking of the women, they got their first win of the season. Congratulations to Coach Gordon, coach's staff, friend of the program, Coach Cromartie, and staff, all the ladies beat North Florida 85-57. They got out and they did to North Florida what teams have been doing to us, which is have a great first quarter. Outscoring North Florida 25-8 in the first quarter, then outscored them 19-12 in the second. It was a little more competitive in the third and fourth quarters, but by that time the damage has been already done. FAMU never trailed in the contest. The bench added 27 points. 5 players scored in double digits. Yeah. Let's see, just kind of scrolling through it. Anything else that you noticed about this game? This was on Saturday. How'd this one go?
So I told you at the end of the Middle Tennessee State game, what I saw and what happened. And then when Coach Kermata came on, we kind of mentioned about the pressing and trapping. So and how that fits this team's psyches and how much energy they show in doing it. And so they unleash that defense, those traps, those press on North Florida, man, and they just, I mean, the turnovers was came in bunches. They just weren't prepared for it. And
yeah,
so
we actually turned someone over. We forced 36 turnovers, only committing 17. That's like, again, we did to somebody what has been happening to us.
Now, we didn't have the depth when we were playing those other teams, and we were playing, a little high caliber talent, but now we've gotten a lot of our pieces back, and I imagine we may get the last two pieces at the end of this week or the beginning of next week. So but that's their formula, man. They when they trap and press, and she has a pretty deep rotation. We're gonna be difficult to deal with, but when we get us into a half court game, we still shoot under 30% from three, and we're inconsistent at the free throw line. Sometimes we shoot 70, sometimes we shoot 60. But we have something that works. So
is that women? Is that North Florida Hollow? Is that North Florida's women that beat Stanford? Really?
I don't know about that one.
I'm like, wow, okay, didn't know that.
I know Stanford coaches left, but
yeah, it ain't the same Stanford coach. Yeah, I get it in Stanford, but it ain't Stanford. It's not the Stanford I grew up on, or we grew up.
But they got a style of play, man, where they can win some games.
We still haven't seen my girl Nishani yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, I'm just keeping 100. I thought she was an X factor for that team last year. I don't know the full extent of why we haven't seen Nishani. She's still on the roster. So maybe injured. Hopefully we have her back in time for conference play, because I think she's an X factor. She's a difference maker. She's a utility tool. She does everything. Can play the guard the post. She's a heck of a player. Lots of energy. Does the dirty work. This team hurts not having her there at the beginning of the season. They're figuring it out, but I think if she were there, it might look a lot different. So the ladies' next contest is they go up to Birmingham to take on Samford University on the 20th, which is Saturday. Nope, that's next Friday. So they actually have a nice break here, almost a week and a half to 2 weeks off. And then they'll take on Samford up there. So
finals week is typical. Final weeks you don't schedule anything, so that everybody can be and take their finals and all that good stuff.
Okay. Well, so be it. So gives time to light work and then opportunity to concentrate and get your book work done. So props to FAMU for the way they schedule and make all that happen. We got to make mention, Kelvin, of track, as FAMU was participating at the Clemson Open. I think this is the first indoor meet of the season. The Rattlers had 7 podium finishes and an event victory. Tara Burt finishing off a strong cross-country season, claimed the win in the women's mile with a time of 5:12. 5 minutes, 12 seconds. Kirk Dawkins placed second in the men's mile recording the fastest time of any collegiate athlete in the field. Other top 10, we had 6 top 10 finishes in the 600 meters. Alicia Douglas finished 3rd overall out of 21. Lacey Dubosky placed 8th. Norman Mukwata, excuse me. Said that wrong.
Yeah,
Led the men.
I'm gonna let you do that.
Yeah, I know. led the men. It was 7th place finish. Nia Blocker, Dejon Clark qualified for the 60-meter final with impressive times. And yeah, just kind of looking at it here. Some of the same names that we saw last year. So
yeah, we off to a very good start in indoor track, and this was their only meet, I think, until January. So yeah, good deal.
Yeah, the next meet isn't until the UAB Blazer event in January in Birmingham, Alabama. So yeah, so there's a good 4 indoor events before the SWAC Indoor Championships, which are in Birmingham late February. So there's that. All right. What else didn't we cover that you wanted to touch on? Okay.
I think we got everything we need to get in today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, I don't see any athletic events scheduled right now. It's kind of a quiet period. The next event isn't until December 17th when the men travel out to the University of Utah. So it's a quiet period right now for FAMU athletics. I got to give a shout out to the student athletes who are graduating. 28 student athletes graduating the fall. Graduation is graduation this weekend, Friday, Saturday?
Yes.
Okay. You got Ben Kim from baseball, Shamora Johnson of bowling. Great, like a great story Shamora is. I saw a post. I know our friend Bobby posted it, but it actually came from Coach Brown, the former bowling coach, citing some of Shamora's accolades. Might try to get Shamora on. I mean, she said she would come on, so we might get a chance to get her on the show and kind of hear more about her story. Obviously, she was one of the bowlers who brought attention to some things that how do I say, just didn't sit right with a lot of people. Seemed a little uneven, unfair, unequal, however you want to call it. But she was the young lady who pushed a lot of that, or shared a lot of that information. I guess that's a better way of saying it. She kind of shone a light on some very dark things that were happening within our bowling program. So shout out to her. Football has I had the number in my head. I want to say it's 17. Names like James Ash, Xavion Battle, Jordan Cumberbatch, Jordan Edwards, James Gardner, Cameron Gillis, Kobe Gross, Austin Hooker, Jalen Howard, Amari Lee, Chase Lloyd, Lawrence Martinez, KJ McCoy, Travis Moss, Andre Powell Jr., Cesar Reyes, Daniel Richardson, Alan Smith Jr., Trey Wilhoit, Deco Wilson. All of those are graduating with either a bachelor or a master's. Veronica Rodriguez in tennis graduating. On the women's track and field side, Mia Hurd, Rory Lowe graduating with their masters. And then on volleyball, Jada Rhodes, Brooklyn Thomas, and Brooklyn Watts, all graduating in the fall. So we say congratulations to those young men and women. We didn't talk about baseball? We did talk about
we had
Coach Shoot.
Yeah, we had Coach Shoot on.
Yeah, I'll go check out at O&G StrikeZone.
November. It was the early November show.
I think I clipped that show, and so if you go to our O&G StrikeZone YouTube page, you can go see that interview from Coach Shoop. I think I clipped it as its own individual. So, Marvin, appreciate you. No more. Appreciate you, Marvin. Thank you, man. We much appreciated, much obliged. All right, so that's going to do it for tonight's show. Thank you to the legend, Hall of Famer, Coach Bill Hayes, for coming on and joining the show. Go check out his website, billhayes.org, and however you communicate with him, or if you're able to support, let him know you appreciate him coming on the O&G StrikeZone. You can find our shows always on the BCSN Pod Zone, everywhere you listen to podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those wonderful places. Go check out the YouTube feeds later. Share the show, family. That's the biggest thing. Share the show. Let people know about us. I feel like we should have more. No, we're appreciative of what we have. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like we should have more. So I need all of you all to share, like, and subscribe. Whether you're on X, whether you're on Instagram, Facebook, any and all, make sure you're following all of our feeds, and then go there. Shout out to the Marching 100 in Atlanta. Safe travels, and bring back a championship.
That's right.
That's it. Bring back a championship. All right. For Marcus Green, who was on the show a little earlier, for a good portion of the show, by the way. And Kelvin, I'm Bryan. Guys, thank you for watching. Be safe. Have a great week. Go South Carolina State. And if you're traveling to Atlanta, be safe, have fun, and wear your nail. Was I doing too much right there?
Oh man, that was pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching the O&G StrikeZone. Rather than to the strike. That's all right. I'm okay with it. I'll be poking my chest out. As long as I don't have to wear a JSU shirt for losing the bet, I'll be okay. All right. Peace out, Rattlers. We out.
Thank you.